Hello, that was 5 at 72, first of 5x5, although I'm taking it up to 77 today, going very slowly at the moment, but I'll get onto that in a little while. First of all, I want to talk about quite a commonly discussed subject, quite important, the advantages as I see them of a 5x5 training schedule over a 3x10 training schedule. Here goes. I've got a friend who is exercising with weights at the moment. Wouldn't be good to give the impression that that's all he does. He does a lot of other stuff. He's fit. A little bit fitter than me, I would say. He's about an inch taller. Probably about the same weight. So when talking about this, I'm going to assume that he's 90 kilos. I'm a bit heavier than that. He's most often had a better diet than me, and he probably hasn't done as much of some things over the years that work against you when you want to be fit and healthy. I'm not going to address him directly because I think I feel a bit strange about using people's names in a video without talking to them about this. I'll let him know this video's there. We've been going back and forth on email, so I'll call him Mr. B, and hope you're doing well, and hopefully this will be of some use. I'm going to try to persuade you to try 5x5 lifting for a little while. Let's look at a couple of things. I don't know exactly how long he's been using weights, but he's always been very active at least. And what's important here is when I asked him what his goals are, he said that he wants to be able to lift a bit more than body weight, which is tough. Most adult men can't do that, and most adult men in their 50s definitely can't do that. I don't want you to think that I'm telling you you're doing anything wrong. What I'm saying is that we have various ways of getting where we want to be. You're on a ladder taking you up to a goal. It's perfectly good, but the ladder being good doesn't mean that what's at the end is quite what you want, and I think you should be on a different ladder to reach your goal, which is handling a bit more than your body weight. So we're talking about, if you begin to squat, you'll easily squat more than your body weight in no time. It's the bench press that's a bit difficult. You're already handling your body weight doing pull-ups, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's just get into it. Most people do think that 5x5, or as close as possible to your 1 rep maximum, is the best way for strength gain. But there's a lot of variations. Some like 5x3 and others 3x3 with a little bit more weight. I tried 3x3 last year, got 10 kilos on my squat. I haven't tested it again for a while, but I think I might have made 10 kilos on the bench press if I'd done things in the right way. We'll see. I'll try a PR. It's not something I do too often, nor should you. And I've seen some people saying they never want to do PRs, some people single lifts PRs, some people saying you should do it every few months. Well, I stick to every few months, especially being 50. And this friend of mine is also 50, just a little younger than me. Doing the 3x3 last year didn't get me. I got some results from it. I don't think you can expect much more than 10 kilos in a year, but this year I want to see what happens differently, and I'm doing 5x5s with just 2 warm-up sets, and in a couple of months I'll see where it's getting me and decide what I'm going to do next. Now, considering the person wants to be able to lift their own body weight and a bit more, 3x10 is about 44% of their body weight. That's what they're doing now. And it probably won't get you to handling your own body weight. If it does, it will be quite slow. It's possible to look in depth at what kind of lifting helps develop muscles in different ways. You've got different things that assist strength. You've got getting your muscles bigger. You've got training your muscles to coordinate really well together. Something I have problems with in squatting, because sometimes I can feel I'm pushing harder with one leg than another, so rather than one leg than the other. Sorry, I'm trying not to be slow, and I ended up making a bit of a mess there. It's really something you must eliminate, and even though I've been squatting for quite a long time now, I still sometimes feel I'm not putting everything, I'm not doing all I can with the muscles I have at my disposal. Then there's also nervous system and training your nervous system to command your muscles to lift more weight. I could talk about these things a bit, but I'll be honest with you. At least I don't like to be artificial, and I don't like to plagiarise, and I will just be paraphrasing Mike Israel. And you could just go and watch his videos and he'll explain it a lot better than me, and he's often quite funny too. So I'm not going to talk about that in detail. I'm just going to say that most people think that 5x5 is a better way to do it, and I think what's important is finding what's best for you. So what I'd like to encourage you to do, Mr. B, is try for 3 months 5x5 and see where you are then compared to where you are now. Here's the difficulty though. You need to know where you are, and for that you need to try to calculate your 1 rep maximum. And it's difficult without doing it. There's formulas for doing it. I don't think they're very accurate. Some of them, there's quite a popular website that looks at strength standards internationally, and it also has a calculator, and if I put what I can do a 5 on the bench press in, it gives me something much lower than what I can actually do. Does that mean I'm good at doing a single lift, or does it mean I'm really poor at doing sets? Don't really know. I'm pretty sure that one indicates that you should be able to do 5x5 at 80% of your 1 rep maximum, and I can't do that. I know I can't do it. I can't do it with a squat or with a bench press, unfortunately. It's partly at the moment I'm trying to push higher. I find, although I was doing 3x3 120 kilos on the squat, and sometimes I'll do 3-3-4. I think I had 1 or 2 5s in the time I was doing it, and I would do 3x3 or 87. Now I'm doing 5x5. 72 is, I can feel it. The fifth one of the last set is difficult for me. I have to push hard, and the same's true with squats. Yes, not yesterday, sorry, I took a day's break. Day before yesterday I did 5x5 100 kilos, and on the last set I thought, let's just show what I can do, feel good about myself, and I'll do a 6 or 7 this time. And no, I got to 5, and that was it. I was putting the bar down and stopping. So it's difficult, I find. Something else I think that's important for this person who likes to exercise all in one day. He does whole body sessions 3 days a week. I don't know quite how that's split. It would work well to do whole body in one session if it's best for him. This is what I would recommend for him to do with supersets, and I would say you do 5 squats, 5 pull-ups, 5 squats, 5 pull-ups, 5 squats, 5 pull-ups until you've done your 5x5 of both. Then 5 bench press, 5 deadlift, 5 bench press, 5 deadlift, and so on. That's what I would suggest. Then I think you'll find that when you get to a weight that's challenging you, you won't want to squat again that week, and nor should you at the age of 50. And that gives you 2 other days, one to do cardiovascular exercise and one to do lighter exercises for all-round health and fitness. And I think that's what this person's doing at the moment. It's all-round health and fitness, but he has said he wants to be able to handle over his body weight. And I mentioned to him in an email that that's what I was doing around 2005, 2006. One of the many times during my life when I've tried to get a solid schedule going, and I just didn't. I did it for a couple of months and stopped. Then I had the cable machine I've got over there, and I had lighter free weights, and I was terrible. I did everything I could think of. I ended up with 16 exercises doing 2 sets of each. Then I reduced them a bit, doing 3 sets of each. It wasn't heavy enough. The heaviest I had was 64 kilos on the cable stack for bench press, and squatting, a bad squat, the terrible machine for squatting, 2 linear going up and down. I've done that, and I found it was good for fitness. I was not eating enough then. I was lucky if I got 50 grams of protein a day. Used to go out a lot, used to work hard. But it didn't do very much. It toned muscle, made me just a little bit stronger with some things. I noticed that more with the dumbbells, with the large repertoire of exercises I had, than anything else. But I don't think it was doing very much for strength. It might have done a bit more if I was eating enough protein, but I don't think so. And I've had a lot more benefits since I've been doing 5-5 and 3-3 and things like that. That's why I want this person to give it a try. something that's important is, because he's been doing 3x10s, he's already conditioning the connective tissue to be resilient and strong. And I do understand that you have to do lower weights with higher volume to help keep connective tissue up, and if you're getting really strong with higher weight and low repetitions, you could end up leaving connective tissue behind, and that sometimes creates accidents. But he's in a good position, I would say, at the moment for 3 months of the 5x5. Excuse me. Disaster. Well, the table blew over in the wind and an ornament's been damaged. Nothing major, bit of a shame. I think I was just saying that a friend of mine who's already been working at 3x10 enough to make sure his joints and connective tissue will be safe, and pushing at 5x5 for 3 months ought to be no danger at all. And I'd better do another set, and I'll be back in a minute or two. Third set of the series, second at 77. Same as with squats, I started with my previous weight and then went up, see how it feels. I've been a bit eager to go up with weights in the past. I think that's okay, not too much wobble. 2 more to go, and depending on how the last set feels, I'll decide whether I stick to 77 or need to stay at 72 for a bit longer. And that brings us on to time between sets. When I'm doing this, I have about 5 minutes between sets, but it might sometimes be more. Sometimes, if I'm in a rush on a given day, I'll do something like go and have a shave between sets. That's not normal, but it means it can sometimes take a while. It's because I find it hard to fit things in, especially now I'm doing a schedule, 5-day schedule in 7 days. And as you can see, 5 at 77 is enough to make me breathe a bit heavily. And what's most important is if you can do a set of 5 or 10 and you can do the same a minute and a half later, even 2 minutes later, you probably didn't push yourself very hard. And recovery is a really good indicator, and if you want muscle growth and you want to increase strength, you should probably be pushing yourself as hard as you can and still recover by the time you next need to train. For example, especially when you're in your 50s, if you have worked your legs and you can do it again that week, you haven't worked your legs. I have squatted after 4 days before now. And I didn't find it that easy. I wasn't doing as many sets, I think I was doing 3s then. But it was quite a while ago, it was before I was progressing fairly well. Stan Ferding, he says that you should only squat heavy once every 2 weeks. Now, heavy for him isn't heavy for us, even though he's, I think, he might be 54, 55. He doesn't do 900 pounds as he used to, but he still can squat 700 and over. So when he says heavy, although my heavy might be a similar percentage of my maximum, it still probably doesn't create the fatigue that it would on him to squat heavy at his same percentage of his maximum. Even though we're working at the same percentage, it's just not enough, not as much tissue damage. So I think once a week is okay, the way I'm doing it. Since I've been doing the 5x5s, I don't always feel fully recovered, and this is why in the past my 4-day schedule then would sometimes go to, rather than being over 7 days, I might take an extra day and I'd only squat 8 days later. I don't want to do that now, and I haven't. This is the 5th week of me not doing that and doing it all within 7 days. I skipped a couple of pull-up sessions, that's a different matter. But that's because I'm doing pull-ups twice a week now, and a couple of times I thought, like, I've got to skip this first day pull-up session and just have one this week, and I think it was necessary because I had a day of pull-ups where I could only do sets of 3 and something was clearly wrong. So if you can recover quickly enough to work your legs 2 or 3 times a week, you're not pushing very hard. Doesn't mean it's not good. It could be great for fitness, but again, if, as this person has said, they want to be able to handle more than their body weight, they want strength, quite a lot more strength, then I think it's really good to work harder and rest for longer. And I'm going to try to tie this up now as fast as I can. Additionally, with my friend, there's quite a big imbalance because he's doing pull-ups and he can do 7s of pull-ups, and let's assume I'm right and he's about 90 kilos, let's say call it 90, then he can do 7 times 90 upper body pulling, yet he's doing 10 by 40 for bench pressing, and that's quite an extreme imbalance. I would say a lot of people who would do 3 by 10 schedule, they're probably not doing pull-ups because pull-ups are hard. They probably do pull downs, and they probably keep the weight a similar proportion in comparison to their body weight as with the other exercises. And congratulations to you, you're doing pull-ups, you're as good as me, you might be better than me at pull-ups. And I'm not that good, but at our age of 50, it's pretty good. And there are people out there who can't do 2 or 3, definitely. Some people who can't do any. And something else is squatting. Now, this person doesn't squat, and I don't blame him because squatting's hard, but it's so important. And there are people who have injuries or a body type that won't allow them to squat. I'm one of them. I have to do it just right. Let's see, I have to, and I know this thanks to Sternaferding, I have to break at the hips first, get into this position and then go up and down. If I tried to squat like this, I'd have an injury, my knees would burst, my kneecaps would burst. And if I want to bend my knees at all with my feet close together, then I have to go straight up onto my toes to do it. And I used to squat that way. I used to think that was squatting. I used to take 70 pounds, clean it, put it over my shoulders, and then do a set of 10 with my raising my heels on my toes and then put it down again. Luckily, I'm not that stupid anymore. Not necessarily a bad exercise to do, but not very good for leg strength. Right, squatting is safe when you do it correctly for your body. It's just so important. There are some people who say if they could only do one exercise, they'll deadlift. I'd squat. Especially because I'm interested in combat sports in particular, I'll probably Zercher squat. In fact, if I could only do one exercise. It's the most important. I used to hate squatting, and I'm going to talk a little bit about something from the past with me and this friend discussing squatting. I wonder if you remember this. It would have been about 2010, and we were in London. And he was seeing a physiotherapist, and this was just conversation. We were outside a pub, the Intrepid Fox, should you know it. Not very good, it's terrible. I used to go there. Why did I go there? Towards the end, a lot of the time it used to have the smell of the drains inside the pub. I like heavy metal music. I don't like it enough to go to a bad pub where there's no good outside and it smells bad. Anyway, enough of that. He was telling me how his physiotherapist was unhappy because his daughter was about to start school, and she was therefore going to be taught to sit and told to sit in chairs, and then she'll lose the ability to squat down nice and low and be able to do things while down there, which we all lose. And I'm sure you've seen it. You don't have to go far these days. There's so much travel video available to see people in other countries who wouldn't dream of sitting on a chair to eat their meals, and it's a challenge really. I am afraid I've got dumbbells all over the place to be able to squat low enough that you can do something useful, and it's difficult while keeping your heels flat on the floor. I'm not too bad for it now. I think, don't know how well you can see that, but for somebody of 50, squatting that low, my thighs are way below my knees, and being fairly stable is pretty good. And there's a reason I do it, and it's because of what this friend told me about squatting and the discussion we had then. At least once a day, I'll be tidying up or doing something, and I will squat down as low as I possibly can. Make sure, not for long, up to a minute, I do something on the floor, bit of tidying, bit of moving, and then get up again. And that helps with mobility. It's not very important. What I'm saying here to my friend is that you really appreciated the value of squatting, and you'll learn when you spend some time under a bar. Heavy bar doesn't mean 100 kilos, 50 will do. It starts to help you get into that position. It gives you a really good stretch. It's so good, so important for your knees and for your hips as you're getting older, and your back. I would implore you to start squatting. I'm just thinking about the sort of things we did when we were younger with exercising. Maybe you need your feet further apart. I don't know. I'd love for you to come here and do some squatting with me. This friend of mine lives in London, far enough into London that it takes a couple of hours to get here at least. Busy man, family and working life, everybody's busy. So I understand it's difficult, but I would love it if you could come here and we could spend a bit of time going through a whole body workout. And I hope I would be able to show you that squatting doesn't have to be any kind of a danger to you. What's really important, I think, is that this friend also does leg extensions. There's a problem. If you're not pre-fatiguing your muscles in your legs by squatting, then you can handle more weight on leg extensions than your body is adapted for. And that's because you think of the leg extension motion. I don't know why I'm moving the camera to show it. It's not as if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about. The thing is, you think about bearing a lot of weight here and having this supported or not. Mine doesn't support it very much. When you're straightening your legs, there's nothing in nature that would expect you to do that. Your body has not evolved to be very good at that, and it doesn't mean you can't do things that your body hasn't specifically evolved to be good at, but I think it's a real danger. And some of the damage I have on my knees is because I used to do leg extensions, and I used to say squats, no, not doing that. I used to want to do leg extension, leg curl, both sides of the legs, surely. I thought I was covering everything. Then I did other things like putting ankle weights on and raising my legs up to kick and stuff like that. Did nothing until I started squatting. It's not that they aren't very good. There are very, very big people, bigger than me, stronger than me, who don't squat. But I think you should really give it a try, put it into your routine, and I don't think you'll regret it. And as I say, if nothing else, then use Zercher squat. And that is where you put the bar in the crook of your arms. And I squatted pretty heavy for me a couple of days ago. So I'm not doing anything even slightly heavy with my legs today because I'm doing a lot of recovering anyway. Let's see, can I bring that out? Yes. In case, you can look anywhere, of course you can look anywhere online and see what a Zercher squat is. A lot of people start with them low. You don't have to though, I don't think it's necessary. And you take it in the crook of your arms. You can tuck like this, you can go together like a bow, and you squat like this. I can keep more upright like this. And it's a good exercise. And it's doing much the same, not everything the same. It's closer to a front squat, and there's no shortage of people who will argue that you should front squat and not back squat. I like back squatting. Yep, Zercher squat, and you can be like Eric Bugenhagen, and I recommend you have a look at him Zercher squatting or Zercher deadlifting online. That's it then. I'll just talk about me for a moment. I can see the door blowing, and I'm going to have a second wind-based accident if I'm not careful. It's going really well with my new schedule. I started with a squat 90 kilos, then did 95 for a couple of weeks, went up to 100 kilos a couple of days ago, and that's going well at 5x5. Do you feel it? And there's less threat of injury than when I was doing 3x3s at 120 with the odd extra one. Deadlifting, absolutely brilliant. So simple. How stupid I feel. I was going down to the bar and I was like this when I should have been like this. It's so simple. I had been told in particular One of the first videos I watched about deadlifting was Juju Mufa with somebody who used to call himself the deadlift whipper. So used to, because I don't think he makes videos anymore. I remember that one because he had his girlfriend with him, and she's memorable. He used to say that if nothing else, you should just find a fixed point on the wall and keep your eyes on it as you go down, and as long as you're looking at that point, then you can't go far off. And I couldn't, so I was like that. And I used to look at the wall over there where I deadlift and think, well, my neck doesn't work that way, and then you start making excuses and think, oh well, my body just isn't suitably aligned for that. No, I was doing it wrong. Good news is it's so much easier. I haven't gone hard. I was at 90s for a while because of this old injury. Don't want to aggravate it again. Then I started going below 100, so 70, 90, 100. I've just started going from 70 to 90 to 120, and I did a few 130s as well the other day, just 3x3 at 130. Nothing special, but it's different, and I was lifting the weight without any leg drive. And here is optimism. I hope that when I work through the weights again, I hope that my previous best of 170 with stiff legs will be surpassed easily and quickly. I'm confident it will, and I'd love to get to, I can't remember what was on my my record sheet now. I think it was 180. I did 170 with pain, and it in particular, it's so important that I was getting to this point, and it's here. So I should have been getting to this point like this, but I was like this, and going from this to this at that point is where it made the pain. I don't think that's how the injury happened. I don't think I was doing anything very foolish with the injury, and incidentally, when I do sets, I was putting them down better. And this, I think, is interesting because when you're up here, I had to align properly to bring the weight up in a straight line. But when you're already up and gravity's assisting you, it was going down pretty well on its own. So I would sometimes do a few sets in a row, a few repetitions in a row, and do them at a pretty good shape, in pretty good form. And that's why sometimes it hurt and sometimes it didn't. But I fixed the deadlift. Slow progress with pull-ups. I've done I've done higher numbers in the past, not very good pull-ups. I do really long, careful pull-ups now. Still sometimes raise a leg a bit towards the end of the set. I think it's worth doing that for the extra reps without them being terrible reps. Done the odd 8. I've normally only done single 7s, but the other day I did 776 of each one. 776 supinated and pronated, and that is progress. It's not brilliant progress, but it's okay. I hope to push on towards clean 10s, and then when I do, I'll change my schedule and probably first try to bench press more often. Could I bench press twice a week? I think I might be able to. Squatting twice a week is probably out of the question. Anyway, that's enough. Whole point of this is to my good old friend, very old friend. We've known each other for nearly 40 years, coming on for 40 years, not quite. I'd like to persuade you to do 5x5, and also I'd like to see if you'll come up here to do a little bit with me. Additionally, I'm soon making a video on a gauntlet, a general multi-exercise session for fitness, and I need some help with that. Perhaps I could persuade you to help me with that, but I know life is busy. If you're anyone else watching this, and if you live roughly 30 miles from London, then let me know. I need assistance, because it's not very good doing something that's competitive on your own. If not, I'll have to do it and then try to improve my time. That's it then. Lots of things happening. I'll be on a deload in a week's time, so I've got one more. I've got a bench press a day, pull-ups tomorrow, deadlifts a day afterwards, and then I've got one more 5-day session, and then I'll be having a week where I do different things, and I'll make a couple more videos. I'll make a new introductory video, a much shorter one, and do lots of other good things, I hope. That's it then. Thanks for watching. I don't know if anyone will have, because this is really a video for one person in particular. It's better than an email. And cheers. See you next time.